Movies based on true stories can be hit and miss when it comes to actually translating the story to the big screen. Does Breakthrough, that stars Chrissy Metz and Topher Grace, hit or miss? This is the story of a 14-year-old boy who falls through the ice of a lake, and despite not having any pulse or breathing for over 20 minutes, begins to have a heartbeat after his mom prays. This story of faith and miracles stars Chrissy Metz, Josh Lucas, Topher Grace, and Marcel Ruiz. At the start of the film, none of the characters are really likable. Chrissy Metz plays the mom, and she is just overbearing and gruff. And Josh Lucas, who is playing the dad, I mean, he's barely there. He's just just so passive that he's almost non-existent. Topher Grace is the family's pastor, and when we first meet him, he is super arrogant, and it's a huge turnoff to even see him on screen. Probably the worst, though, is Marcel Ruiz, and he plays John, the boy who falls through the ice. And he is just a snot, and I mean, he is despicable when he's on the screen at the beginning of the film. Now, luckily, we get to see growth and change from all of the characters. And so that's what really kept me going in the film, is that I began to see each of them change. Had there not been this change, they just would have been horrible characters from the beginning to the end, and I'm like, I'm wasting a ton of time watching this. Dennis Haysbert plays the specialist who is overseeing the care of John. And from the moment I saw him on the screen, all I wanted to hear him say is, he's in good hands. Come on! Just give me that. That's what... No, I didn't get it at all. So disappointed. They had that opportunity to just put that in there. Allstate probably said, no, you can't do that, and it maybe even trademarked. But I just wanted to hear that. Parts of the story and several scenes are really long and almost unnecessary to the full outcome of the story. So it really could have been cut out because the movie is almost 2 hours long, and through a lot of that, I began to feel the time. There's one story continuity issue that really bugs me, and it's small, but it drew me out of the film because I had to question whether or not I was missing something. There is a paramedic who pulls John out of the ice, and later in the movie, he goes to he observes in the hospital room. Chrissy Metz, as the mom, sees him, and then he turns around and walks away. She goes after him, and then she calls him by name. Now, at no point in the film have we been told his name, and there is no evidence that Chrissy Metz has any idea who this guy is. Now, sure, I can put it together in my mind that, yes, at some point somebody said who the paramedic's name was, who saved her son or whatever, but she doesn't know what he looked like. From what we know, what we've been shown on screen, there's total strangers. So it pulled me instantly out, and I'm like, oh wait, did I miss something? Now, the movie isn't a bad watch. It has some really good emotional moments, and I found myself tearing up at times. Now, I know I nitpicked about the little continuity in the story there, but there's also, when it comes to some of the medical scenes, that it was shot or edited poorly. I mean, when they are shown doing CPR, you can clearly see that they are not compressing fully or even really at all on the kid's chest. And I would rather just show it from behind, show the guy or whoever it is doing the movements. And I understand that you're not really doing CPR. You're not cracking this kid's ribs, but don't show me that you're not actually doing it. Let my mind believe that it is happening. Then also when they would administer drugs, they would show in close-ups the syringes in the IVs, and you could clearly tell that either there was nothing in there, I mean, it's not even like a clear liquid, or that they had already finished pushing it down and now they were just, holding it there, and it just took me out of that. I wish that they wouldn't have shown some of that they could have shown a lot of the pacing and we get it. It's an ER or it's in a paramedic, in the ambulance. Stuff is happening, things are going on, you're administering drugs. We get that. We don't need the play-by-play close-up shot of it going because it's just not that interesting to watch. Especially when you're faking it and it's totally, you can tell that it's being faked. Some of the shots felt like they were trying to manipulate my emotions. Now, the story was good enough in parts where it did evoke true emotion. I didn't need you to focus on somebody's face and show them about to cry when it didn't make any sense that they would be crying. I get that this is a tense scene, but this person doesn't know this person, and so it doesn't ring true to me. Or then you have some doctor who is talking out loud to himself in a Oh, I wonder what we should do. Well, I don't know of any doctor that ever does that, especially when it's an ER doctor and they're making decisions very, very quickly because they need to, because time is of the essence. There's just a lot of those types of things, or when the camera would pan to a nurse and she's like, we didn't need that. Stop trying to manipulate me or to tell me how I'm supposed to feel. I get it's a dire situation. Let me feel it. Let the story naturally evoke that. And then it doesn't pull me out of it, or it doesn't make it feel forced and just cheesy. Now, overall, this isn't a bad film, and it's not bad for a rental or even waiting for it to come onto a streaming service. I just personally wouldn't shell out all of the money to take my family to the theater and see it. There's no sex, nudity, or violence, but there is some mild profanity. I give Breakthrough 3 out of 5 couches. Can you recommend a based on true events film for me? I'd love to know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.